Hey folks, this is Ben Yessel, just making another video here. Sunday late night. Very late at night, getting into probably early Monday morning. No, not quite. It's more Sunday night, really. Okay, so, and for this video, I'm going to be talking about um, basically questions I would have for people that I'm watching their YouTube videos. Specifically Jordan Peterson, but also there could be others as well. And so kind of more of the great minds that I'm following more. But let's just say Jordan Peterson, for the sake of having just one particular person I'd be asking these questions for. And, I do think very well of Jordan. And, wow, I mean, he really is, in my opinion, he's one of the very best. He's the best. He's one of the best out there in terms of just, he's profoundly intelligent, in my opinion. I don't know what his IQ is, but he thinks at a really elite level. And so I would love to be able to ask these questions for him sometime. And so these are some of the questions I'd have. And one of them would be, one of them would just be, not just the definition of good and evil, but what are the true sources of good and evil? Where does good or evil come from? Good and evil, where do they come from? What are their roots? And like, can you have a purely good person and a purely evil person? And what does it take to get to that point where someone is considered purely good? Or is it even possible to have someone that's purely evil? So that's all kind of, of course, Jordan would say, oh, that's more than one question that he'd answer. So that's my first train of thought. The second one is, it has to do with the universe and space. So we know that there's, solar systems. So there's planets that orbit stars, and then those stars make up a galaxy. And then you have galactic clusters. And then you get this, the universe level. And then supposedly the universe is one of just many universes. So in all this, talking about space, one of the questions that seems to bother a lot of people, but I'll go ahead and ask it, to Jordan, is, so how do we find out where heaven is in all this? Is it even possible to locate heaven? Or is there any way we can possibly do this in any remote way whatsoever? Any thoughts on where heaven may exist? And if it's impossible to find where heaven exists, would it be possible in the future? What would it take? What would it require to find heaven? And we can talk about, the Tower of Babel and stuff and all that stuff. Okay, so third general question. And maybe this is more of a science kind of thing, but there's the concept of AI, artificial intelligence, and all these efforts to make robots that can supposedly think for themselves, but we know that. So I would ask Jordan, I was like, what does it require for life to be to be created? What would be required for actual life to be created, and sentient life or other lower life, self-aware life versus lower kinds of life forms? What would that require? Because we can play God by mixing, stuff in a test tube and stuff. But can you create a robot and you have that robot take on AI, right? Just like an iRobot, you know, or other movies. And so, of course, I have my own thoughts about these questions. But I'll let Jordan kind of go at it. I don't know what he'd say, of course. My personal feeling is that in order to create true life, you would need the power of God to do something like that. Because in my opinion, only God can create actual spiritual life or actual life. And there's different kinds of creation. There's the physical creation of something that is a spirit. All life has a spirit to it, spirit form. But then there's the question of, can a spirit be created? That gets really deep, right? It's kind of like, well, where's the end of the universe? Kind of thing. I think these questions are still worthwhile to ask, even though they could drive us crazy. Of course, the fourth question, so I've asked the question of, well, there's the space one. There's also the good and evil, one. Then there's, well, the other one, this is three of them so far. Then I also ask, is it possible to time travel? Or is it possible to go faster than the speed of light? Which would be required to time travel. And how does time work? Is time constant kind of thing? We know that, well, what would cause time to be altered, or our awareness of time? Speed, that sort of thing. Yeah, but so this would be kind of some of the main questions I'd ask. Anyway, this is getting late. I'm getting a little tired, but I thought I'd at least mention some of this stuff. All right, you guys actually can leave your thoughts and comments below about these deep questions. If you want. Talk to you guys later. Take care.